All right, game week 10 is done. I had another good week. I've been pretty good about that. Well, a mixed week. I scored well, but I've got a few players injured now, which is slightly worrying. Yeah, overall did well in the week. Overall, hope your team did well too. Okay, in this week's video, I'm going to take a quick look at my team. Then we'll dive into our league and see who's done well this week and how things are going overall. Then we're going to go behind the headlines of game week 10 and just see what we can learn from those games, kind of beyond the Fantasy Premier League scoring, see if there's anything interesting happening. And then I'm going to wrap quickly and do a quick preview of game week 11. I'm just going to do one video this week, largely because I'm getting married this weekend. And it's a busy week getting ready for all of that. So I'll do a quick preview at the end of this of game week 11. Another reason for doing one video this week is that, you know, I'm just going to change my goalkeeper this week. It's not that interesting. I don't think it deserves a video all in itself. And I don't think it's a very tough decision right now based on, you know, a fixture swing. So I'll touch on that briefly at the end and then we'll kind of take it from there. Let's take a look at that team now. I mean, I scored 74 points, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's above the average of 58. It means another green arrow for me overall in the game. I'm up to 400 and something thousandth in terms of rank, which is pretty solid. I guess my target, I'd really love to get into the top 100,000. I've finished there before and I think it's achievable this year. So this steady progress, I think I've had 5 or 6 weeks of green arrows overall now, where I'm making progress in the game as a whole. So I'm feeling good. I just hope that run can continue. Obviously it won't. I'm due a bad week soon. Probably it's going to happen this weekend. Here's my team. Let's go through each player and see how it went. Hennessy got 1 point in that 2-2 draw at home to Arsenal. Had a fairly good game. Might have done better with Xhaka's free kick. It's difficult. He did his best to try and save Aubameyang's goal. He's a good goalkeeper and he's playing okay. It's just that, you know, Palace overall have got some very tough fixtures. So I think he's going to be coming out of my team this week. More on that later. All right, we've crossed the back four. Tough week for Hector Bellerin. He obviously was on the team that conceded those 2 goals for Arsenal, but came off injured at half time. I don't know what his fitness shout is for next week, so I'm a little bit worried about him, but recently he's been doing great. Although Arsenal, their defence really isn't that good. Palace managed to open them up a good few times at the weekend, which I was pretty happy about as a Palace fan. So it's tough with Bellerin because he offers a lot of attacking points and options, but defensively they're really not picking up clean sheets in the way that they could or should be. Benjamin, he got 6 points, he got a clean sheet, very happy with him. Alonso got a clean sheet for Chelsea, finally delivered me a clean sheet and some attacking points. He picked up an assist as well, and I think he got a bonus point or 2 here. Aaron Wan-Bissaka came off the bench for me and picked up 1 point. I was very surprised, as most of you were, that Andrew Robertson didn't end up starting for Liverpool. So Wan-Bissaka came off the bench. Not ideal, but ultimately Liverpool didn't keep a clean sheet anyway, so I can't be too concerned about that. In midfield, I had Pedro, came off the bench as well. He started the game for Chelsea, which I was encouraged by, but he also came off injured after about half an hour, I think. So I'm worried about him and his fitness moving forward. So it's been a great week in terms of point scoring, but my team is the walking wounded at the moment. Charlison got 5 points. He got himself an assist. He was brought down for Sigurdsson's penalty away at Man United. So at least there's something there from Richarlison, which was good. Mohamed Salah, the guy I signed, brought in and captain, very happy. Ended up with 15 points with a goal and 2 assists. Although, if you remember my video last time around, I was kind of torn between signing him or Mane, and the point I made was that if they both continue to score relatively equally, then you've got to go with Mane because you saved that 3 million quid, and lo and behold, they both end up getting 15 points here. So I am happy I had Salah, and I'm glad I captained him because he's brought home a big 30-point haul for me. But they got the same amount of points. This weekend it worked out just fine because I would have brought in Lacazette up front, and you know, Lacazette didn't even pick up an assist in that game against Palace. So I didn't miss out this week in particular. And if I'd gone with my original strategy of signing Glenn Murray, then I would have been points ahead based on this strategy. But anyway, moving on, Bernardo Silva, you know, didn't contribute any attacking points this week, but got 3 with a clean sheet in that 1-0 win away at Tottenham. Aguero got 2 points for me. Again, kind of continuing that pattern where he really picks up all of his points, it seems, in home games, and then, you know, away from home just doesn't really seem to deliver in quite the same way. Luckily, I also had Callum Wilson, who got a couple of goals in Bournemouth's win at the weekend. So overall, very happy. I mean, it was really a question of three players really delivering all my points this week. Marcus Alonso, Mohamed Salah and Callum Wilson. I'm very pleased that they managed to dig me out of a hole. In terms of my strategy for last week, you may have remembered that I planned to sign Glenn Murray as my striker alongside Mohamed Salah. And I got a little spooked by his head injury, and so I ended up signing Marko Arnautovic as well, who didn't end up playing at all. I still feel okay about this decision. I don't think Glenn Murray should have played in that game. I think the Premier League have got a lot of thinking to do about concussion and treating that seriously. So I picked it. I didn't pick Murray on that basis because I thought there was a chance he would play, but I thought that the right thing to do was that he shouldn't play. And I stick by that, so I'm not even going to bring Murray in for next week. Concussion's a really serious thing, and I think it gets taken a lot more seriously here in America due to all of the, the news and the very serious illnesses and quite frankly deaths that have resulted from multiple concussions and head injuries in the NFL. And also, I play football too, and I was playing a few weeks ago, and a friend of mine got a really bad concussion. He hit his head very hard, and we were all very worried about him. And he's taken a good 3 weeks off playing, and still isn't playing now. And that's the right thing to do. He's following doctor's advice and he's taking care of himself, which is what you should be doing. And I hope that Glenn Murray's okay. I like him a lot. He played for Palace at one point. He's a good guy. And no one wants to see anyone get really hurt. So I'm not sure why he was out there on Saturday. Great for him that he scored, but I'm not missing those points too badly because I just don't think it's right. I just hope that these guys can get looked after a little bit more and that they don't risk injury. Okay, so that's my team. Feeling pretty good about it going into next week, although worried about Pedro, worried about Bellerin, worried about Arnautovic going into next week. So I'll be watching the team news really closely, hoping that a few of those guys can make a comeback. Okay, let's take a look at the 553 league now. Top scorer this week was Muneni with his team 10-man upset. I like that team name. Got 85 points this week, which is fantastic. Congratulations to you, Muneni. You're the top scorer in the 553 league this week. Rahul keeps his place at top spot. He had a great solid week as well, 76 points, which is fantastic. I mean, overall, our league has done really well this week. I think nearly everyone has beaten the game average score of 54 points, so the standard's very high. I'm really pleased that everyone's doing well. And it's not too late to join the league. If you'd like to join, there should be a sign-up code, a registration code down below this video in the description somewhere. And you're welcome to join along and play with us as we go through the rest of the season. It's going really well. So I mean, at the top it's still quite tight. Rahul is just 11 points ahead of K Mendy. K Mendy managed to close the gap by 4 points this week. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that title race goes. I'm kind of stuck in the middle again, doing okay in 7th. I think I may have made up a little bit of ground. I think I passed Vince this week, hoping to make steady progress as the weeks go by. I don't think I'm going to catch those guys at the top. I'm roughly 50 points behind. That's a long way to go. But yeah, good luck. I hope you enjoyed this last weekend. It looks like most of you weren't damaged too much by lots of those big players missing out. I think Robertson was out, Arnautovic, Hazard was out. So yeah, there was a lot to deal with, but it looks like everyone in the league did a pretty good job of accommodating for that. Okay, let's have a look at some of these Game Week 10 fixtures. Start with Palace versus Arsenal. Pretty happy at the end, I guess, with a 2-2 draw for Palace against Arsenal. I think Palace should have won the game. Arsenal looked very shaky at the back. They played Granit Xhaka at left back, and he's not really a defender. Wilfried Zaha managed to win a penalty at the end, which was a clear penalty. If there's any Arsenal fans watching, I think it was a dive. Then I suggest you watch many replays of that because it was a clear pen, and I've seen a lot of nonsense on social media about it. In fact, a lot of nonsense spoken by the guys on the Guardian Football Weekly podcast as well, who thought it was. I just don't get how anyone could think that was a dive. Ran over. But Xhaka, I guess, showed that he's not really a defender with the way he kind of overcommitted to that tackle in the box. Arsenal's attacking three looked quite flat as well. Ozil, who was fantastic in the game before, Aubameyang and Lacazette really didn't do much at all in the game. I mean, Obe got that goal that came from that Lacazette handball, and it was a good finish. But overall, they didn't really have a huge amount of attacking chances. So it's going to be interesting. They've got a tough game this week against Liverpool. I'm not rushing to go and sign any of their players this week. I think it's a tough fixture and they didn't look that convincing. Maybe when they've got a few easier fixtures on the other side of that tough one next week, I'll be looking again at Ozil and Lacazette. But I think, a bit like Sergio Aguero, I think they may be players that might be better picks for home fixtures than for away fixtures where, the game can be kind of choked down a little bit like the way Palace did, and opposition teams can close down a lot of space. We'll run through these other results as quickly as possible. Leicester won, West Ham won. I think West Ham actually looked pretty good in this game despite having no Arnautovic or Yarmolenko up until the point where Mark Noble got himself sent off. And then after that, it was relatively one-way traffic. I think Maddison still looks promising for Leicester. He was a little bit unlucky not to get a penalty. He was taking a lot of set pieces as well, which I think is encouraging. It does suggest that he'll pick up more assists than he will do just from open play. Vardy got really close, so did Maguire. I think it's feeling pretty good about Leicester. I guess we can't really talk about Leicester without referencing, the helicopter crash that happened after that game. Obviously very sad news. My thoughts are with everyone connected to Leicester and all their fans. It's a good club. And he seemed like a great guy. He was just an amazing owner who was an incredibly generous spirit, in terms of his kind of thought and consideration as well as kind of generous financially to lots of different things around the community for that club. And, what Leicester did a couple of years ago is inspiration to everyone. It just is. I'm a Palace fan. The dream, the idea that it could happen, to see that come to life was truly amazing, and he seemed like a really special guy. So thoughts are with everyone connected to Leicester, and just a very very sad thing to happen. Okay, Watford 3, Huddersfield 0. Oh look, Huddersfield still can't score any goals. They were again a little bit unlucky here. I think they hit the post again. They're taking pot shots from a long way out, and some of them shooting's been great, and they've been hitting the frame of the goal, but they just aren't getting these chances converted. Someone's going to pay the price for that. They're going to play against someone, and they get who expect to beat them, and they're going to lose to Huddersfield, because the law of probability suggests that they have to score, soon. With Watford, look, I was wrong about Roberto Pereira. I made a video earlier this year after he scored on the first day of the season saying it's not time to sign him because he's never really been a goal scorer, and that's unlikely to change at his age, and I was very wrong. Pereira would have been a great player to sign at that time and to keep in the team. So, he's definitely on my watch list now and probably should be on yours. He's having a good season. Deulofeu scored a good goal, and if he can get back to the form he showed when he was at Everton, he could be a really good player to pick as a bit of an FPL differential in that Watford team if they continue doing well. Southampton 0, Newcastle 0. Whoa. Two of the worst teams in the Premier League, I think. Both can't score. Southampton missed a whole bunch of chances again. I think these two teams are in pretty serious chance of relegation. I wouldn't be looking at any of the players on either of these sides from an FPL point of view. Just not of any interest. Liverpool 4, Cardiff 1. There's not much to say here beyond the results. Bournemouth 3, Fulham 0. A couple of stories here really are that Fulham's defence continues to remain terrible, and Bournemouth's attack continues to look good. David Brooks looks like a really good value buy, but you'll know that because he scored a goal in this game. Fraser's looking good too, got another couple of assists. Brighton 1, Wolves 0. Traore started for Wolves, which is interesting. He has looked like he's capable of generating points so far, but this time obviously didn't. Matt Doherty had a good chance to score and missed, and he hit the post, so he's definitely not done as an FPL option. And Matt Ryan got another clean sheet and lots of saves and played fantastically well, so I'm going to be signing him for my team this week. Brighton have got some favourable fixtures coming up. I don't think he'll continue to keep clean sheets in quite the same way that he has been the last 3 games, so everyone that owns him already has done really well. But he's making lots of good saves, and I just think that there's a good chance of picking up a good few points. And Palace's fixtures swing the other way, and so Hennessy's facing, I think, Chelsea, Man United and Spurs in the next 3, so that's why I'm switching, I think, and I think Ryan's the right guy to go for. Man United 2, Everton 1. Again, the stories here I think are relatively straightforward. Martial looked good and looked like he was linking up well with Pogba. And then Burnley 0, Chelsea 4. Nothing particularly interesting to add to this. I mean, Morata scored and looked a bit more bright. Ross Barkley looks great. I don't think he's an easy player to sign from an FPL point of view because, you know, Hazard and Kovacic are in the background and coming back from injury and rotation. So you just don't know whether he's going to play all that much. I think overall what you can learn from game week 10 is that the top teams are just so good. The points distribution in the league this year is kind of unlike anything I think we've seen before. The best 4 or 5 teams are winning almost every week, and the worst 4 or 5 teams are losing and not scoring goals. And so reading the fixtures seems to be a particularly important tactic this year, and rotating players around so that you can get advantage of some of those mismatches. Okay, so here's a quick look at my team and how it's going to line up for game week 11. As I've mentioned before, I'm going to switch Hennessy out for Matt Ryan of Brighton. It is really all about a fixture swing and the fact that Matt Ryan's been doing really well. Although before I pull the trigger on this, I'm just going to monitor the fitness of some of my other players, because Bellerin, Arnautovic and Pedro all got injured or were missing last week. So Matt Ryan is the substitution I want to make. I may have my hand forced by, you know, team news later in the week that suggests that any of those other players aren't playing. But for now, my plan is to make that Matt Ryan switch. Okay, so right, that's it for this week. Good luck to you and your teams. Thank you for watching. Click the thumbs up if you liked this video, and also click to subscribe if you'd like to stay on this journey with us throughout the rest of the season. Good luck, and thanks for watching. Cheers.